I rented an apartment with a dark past. She had my name, was betrayed by someone she loved, and her body was inside the wall. I still remember the first time I coughed up blood. It wasn't much, just a few red streaks in the sink one morning, but it was enough to scare Ryan. He rushed me to the doctor that same day, held my hand the whole time. They couldn't find anything wrong. Blood tests, chest scans, even endoscopy, nothing. I was told it was stress-related. I didn't feel stressed. In fact, my life was perfect. Ryan and I had been married for 2 years. We had just moved into a new apartment in a quiet suburb outside Portland. The rent was surprisingly low, and the place had big windows, warm wooden floors, and a balcony that overlooked the woods. We were happy. At least I thought we were. But within 2 weeks of moving in, I started feeling drained. Not tired, but hollow. Like something inside me was quietly leaking out. I'd wake up gasping at night, drenched in sweat. There were bruises on my arms I couldn't explain. My appetite vanished, and I was losing weight rapidly. My reflection in the mirror looked older, haunted. Ryan grew more worried, always asking if I was okay. I always said yes, but I was lying. One evening, while walking back from the pharmacy, I heard screaming from the apartment next door. It was a woman's voice, raw, terrified, and furious. I froze. For a moment, I considered knocking, but before I could, everything went silent. The next day, I saw her in the hallway. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, and she barely glanced at me. Something in her expression made my stomach twist. That night, I couldn't sleep. Just as I was drifting off, I heard tapping 3 soft knocks from the wall behind our bed, the same wall that connected to her apartment. The tapping didn't stop. Every night around 2 a.m., I'd wake to the same 3 knocks, deliberate, spaced, like someone trying to send a message. I tried to ignore it, blaming plumbing, the wind, anything rational. But deep down, I knew it wasn't either of those things. I asked Ryan if he ever heard the knocks. He just looked at me, concerned. "You're probably dreaming," he said. But I wasn't. A few nights later, the tapping changed. Started as 3 knocks, then 5, then 8, each louder than the last. And then it stopped, always abruptly, always at the same time, 2:14 a.m. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I pressed my ear against the wall and whispered, "Hello." There was silence. Then, suddenly, a whisper came through. "He lied." I stumbled back, heart racing. My throat felt tight, my skin cold. It was a woman's voice, weak, barely audible, but it was real. The next day, I tried to find her. I knocked on her door, but no one answered. I asked the building manager about the woman next door. His expression turned strange. "There's no one living there," he said. "That unit's been empty since last year." I didn't believe him. I saw her, heard her. That night, I stayed up, waiting for the knocks. They came. But this time there was more. A dragging sound, like furniture scraping across the floor. Then a thud. Then sobbing. I opened our bedroom window to breathe. That's when I saw her, standing on her balcony in the dark. She wasn't moving, just staring at the forest. When I blinked, she was gone. The next morning, I stood outside her door again. Still locked. No sound inside. But something drew me to the peephole. I pressed my eye to it, and immediately stepped back. The apartment wasn't empty. There were candles on the floor, arranged in a circle. Burn marks on the walls. And in the center, a large black stain. Like something had been scorched but never cleaned. I knocked, heart pounding. No response. I waited for anyone to say I was wrong, that I imagined it. But no one did. Not Ryan, not the manager, not the neighbors. They all insisted the place had been vacant for months. That night, Ryan left for a work trip. I was alone in the apartment for the first time in days. I barely slept. Around 2 a.m., the temperature dropped. I wrapped myself in a blanket, trying not to look at the wall. But then the tapping started again. Louder. More frantic. And then, something new. A voice whispered my name. Not just once, repeatedly. "Emily, Emily, Emily." I grabbed my phone and started recording, hoping to prove I wasn't crazy. But when I played the clip back, there was only silence, except for the final second, when a faint voice whispered, "He hurt me. Make him pay." I froze. That was when I noticed something strange in the hallway mirror. A reflection of someone standing behind me. I turned, but no one was there. The mirror cracked, just a single fracture down the center. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just about ghosts. Someone or something was trying to communicate. Not haunt, not scare, but warn. And I was listening. The night after the mirror cracked, everything changed. I didn't sleep at all. I sat on the floor with the lights on, blanket around my shoulders, listening, waiting. But no tapping came that night. No whisper. Nothing. Just silence. And that somehow felt worse. In the morning, I checked the hallway. The neighbor's door was wide open. I hesitated, then stepped inside. The apartment smelled rotten. Not dirty, not abandoned, but something deeper. like burned flesh and damp earth. I walked in slowly. The candles were still on the floor, now melted to wax puddles. The walls were scratched with long, uneven marks, like someone had tried to claw their way out. And in the bedroom I found it. A journal. I picked it up with trembling hands. Most of the pages were torn or burnt, but a few entries remained. He promised to love me. He brought me here to hide me, said no one would find us. But I found out. About his wife. About the others. He said if I ever left, he'd make sure I disappeared too. I think he already has. That's when I noticed the name signed at the bottom. Emily. My name. I dropped the journal. My heart raced. What the hell was this? Coincidence? Or something worse? I stumbled back into the hallway, and right then, the neighbor's door slammed shut behind me. I tried to open it, but it was locked from the inside. That night, I asked the building manager one last time. I told him everything. The knocks, the woman, the voice. He went pale, then quietly said, "You weren't supposed to know." I stepped back. What does that mean? He just looked at me and said, "That unit has a history. Women go missing there. Always women. The last one's name was Emily too. But she didn't make it out. You should leave, before she finds you." Then he walked away. That night I packed a small bag. I didn't tell Ryan. I just wanted to leave. I didn't care where I went, hotel, friend's couch, anywhere but that place. But before I walked out, I had to see it one last time. The mirror. The crack had deepened. And across the center something new had appeared. Written in dark, smudged letters like charcoal or ash. "Don't let him lie again." I froze. And in the reflection I saw her, standing behind me. Her face was pale, eyes hollow, blood dried along her neck. She looked like me but older, broken. She didn't speak. She just raised one hand, slowly pointed at the wall, then vanished. That same wall where the tapping had started. I don't know what made me do it, but I grabbed a hammer and started tearing through the drywall. Piece by piece, I ripped it open, coughing from the dust and rot. My arms shook, but I kept going, and that's when I hit something solid. Wood, and then fabric. Clawed at it, and then I saw what was underneath. A body, curled, skeletal, long decomposed, but unmistakably female. She had long brown hair, brittle and tangled. Around her wrist was a bracelet, the same one I'd seen in my reflection. Her name was Emily too. That wasn't just a coincidence. It was a message, a warning, pattern. I ran. The next morning, police swarmed the place. I told them everything. They found more than just her body, they found evidence. Jewelry, IDs, women, missing, unheard, forgotten. All of them connected to this building. All of them found behind walls. The manager disappeared the same night. I never saw him again. Ryan, he never asked where I went. But when I finally told him, his silence told me everything. 3 months later, the building was condemned. But sometimes, late at night, I still wake up at 2:14 a.m. And I swear, I can hear tapping. Only now it's coming from inside me.